How y'all doing? This is a little unorthodox. I'm literally going to film my first YouTube video in the car, in traffic. And hey, I am all about overcoming procrastination, so why not? So I wanted to share, I have so many messages to share. First of all, let me just introduce myself. My name is Shiloh. I am a 50-year-old mom of 9 children, and I enjoy being fit and fabulous. I have a story to share, and there are a lot of components within the story, and I'm excited to share it with everyone, but I'm sure it's going to come out in pieces in this journey on YouTube. But today I want to talk about something that I feel like is not addressed very often in the internet world, whether social media, YouTube, is depression. I want to talk about depression, and it's so fucking depressing to talk about, excuse my language, but it's not, okay? I feel like there's a stigma on it that is, it should be addressed. It should be really looked at. And the reason why I feel like it should be talked about is because we have power over it. We have power over how we think and feel without exterior substances, without alcohol, without weed, without antidepressants. And yeah, I said it. So, and I'm gonna back this, as you will see, with as much science and, you know, as much proof as I can. So, you know, a little bit about me and my journey. I was a depressed teenager. Who isn't? Like 14 years old, 15 years old, I had attempted suicide multiple times. I was in a juvenile home because I had attempted suicide so many times. And, you know, I'm not going to go into my reasons for my depression and blah, 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 blah. But I didn't know back then that I had control over my feelings. I didn't know I had control over my thoughts. I thought because I had grown up or woke up in a sad state that that's how I was created. Like, I just wished that I was happy like my friends, or happy like this person, or happy like that person. And mind you, I grew up in the 80s, so there was no cell phones, and if you lived out in the boondocks, or you had a family that didn't really, like, they didn't, let's just say a family that was less than what you wanted to have, you were kind of stuck, you know. You had to, you know, if you had abusive parents or alcoholic parents, or, you know, whatever it was, there was like no escape from it. You were kind of like stuck. So yeah, I felt powerless. What kid didn't feel powerless if you had a family you didn't want to be around in the 80s and 90s, right? But, you know, when I got older, and, you know, I don't want to talk too much about myself, but, you know, because I had a mindset of negativity, I attracted a lot of negativity into my life. And I didn't think I was worthy of love. And I thought love was like being treated like shit. I really did. I thought that, you know, it was being bossed around, it was being controlled, it was, you know, not allowing to have a voice. I didn't know what love was. I mean, let me just rewind a little bit, because I didn't really think that was love, but that's what I was used to being treated like. And I had to be silent. You know, I wasn't allowed to speak up for myself. Children should be seen and not heard. But so because of that, I attracted a mate into my life who took control over me. And I spent my young adult life with someone I didn't want to be with, who I was actually repulsed by, no disrespect, and controlled by a religion that also I fell into at this time, because I felt like there was some sort of direction, and I knew I didn't want to go back into like where my family came from. I didn't want to grow up and be an alcoholic and a functioning alcoholic and just work paycheck to paycheck and, you know, live paycheck to paycheck and not have any like drive in life. I saw a bigger picture for myself, right? So religion was introduced to me, and I'm not going to disclose which religion it was yet. But it was very strict, and it had values, morals, and, you know, because I didn't really grow up in that, I felt like this is better than what that was. So I fell into this religious practice, which quickly turned my brain into like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to, or you're going to burn in hell. And I was like, a lot of what I was studying did not resonate with my heart, but if you don't believe it, you're going against God and you're going to burn in hell. So I spent 14 years of my life in this very strict religion, and I'll talk about this at another time, right? And I had 7 children during this time, and then I heard a voice in my head. I heard a voice that said, "You deserve to be happy." And I was like, what did I just hear? And I was like, at that moment in time, it was very audible. I never lived for myself. I never did anything for myself. I mean, I worked full time. I had 7 children at the time, and this very strict practicing religion, right? So I acted on this voice, and I ended up filing for divorce. And let me just tell you, trying to break away from someone who feels like they own you and a religion that owns you, or you're going to burn in hell, is not an easy task. And I went through a very, very long, difficult, probably decade and a half of breaking free from this mental conditioning and, you know, ownership over me, my life, and my thoughts and my feelings and everything, my actions, my body, all of it, right? So fast forward, and, you know, the reason why I'm giving you a little bit of history is so you can understand, like, I came from a very tumultuous past, right? And I was already a depressed child. I was lost. I didn't, you know, have any self-worth. And then I, you know, stumbled into this religion and this man who decided that I was going to be his, and whether I liked it or not. And I lived that life, you know, until I was about 33, and I broke away from it. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because that as I, you know, journeyed through my 30s, I did have a healthy relationship with someone that I really did truly love, right? And we had 2 beautiful children. But I quickly realized that we bonded through our own traumas. Like, at the time, he had been abused by someone he loved. I had been abused, and we bonded through our abuse. So two codependents bonded and found solace, and it was a beautiful union. However, as we progressed through life, and there was 9 children involved at this point, there was no time for really doing self-healing or building a relationship or anything like that. Then the wounds started to come out, and I realized I was jealous, insecure, negative, always thinking the worst, mistrustful. I didn't even love myself, and that was the biggest thing. But I thought it was everybody else that was the problem. I thought it was my spouse that was the problem. I thought it was my kids that was the problem. I thought it was my coworkers that was the problem. I thought it was my parents or my brother or whoever. Everybody else was the problem, and I was okay. There was something wrong with them, And so as I realized that I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good within myself. I wasn't feeling good, and my relationship was very rocky, and it was starting to break away. And eventually, 8 years later, we did break away from each other. But right before that happened, I had been doing dishes in my little pantry, my 9 kids running around. I worked full time. I was tired. I had freaking 14 loads of laundry on the weekends, which was my time off. There was no time off. Who am I kidding? Time off was in the bathroom, like when you went to the toilet. That was it. And so I'm doing dishes, and I'm listening to a YouTube video of Bob Proctor, and I hear him say this, that you have control over your feelings by your thoughts, what you say, and your thoughts. And I was like, wait, something clicked in my mind, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Wait, what did he just say? So I rewound it probably 3 or 4 times, and I just kept listening, and it just sunk in, and I was like, are you kidding me? All this time I had control over how I felt. I had control over how I felt by the words that I said to myself, because my self-talk was shitty. I was raised to believe, expect the worst, hope for the best. So guess what I always got? The worst, I was always expecting the worst, and that's what I got. The worst. And I didn't have any self-worth because I never really felt loved as a child. And what was me? Everybody's got a sad story. Everybody's got a story, right? I don't look at myself as a victim. And I learned how to be very independent because of that. But my mom took care of me, don't get me wrong. She took care of me. She gave me a roof over my head and a meal every day, and I had clothes, and I had the basic necessities in life. I was taken care of. I wasn't abused. I just didn't feel loved. I didn't know what love was. And you know what? Our parents teach us what they've learned. They teach us what they know. So, no disrespect to my mom or my stepdad or anyone that I learned from at a young age. I learned from them what they knew because they learned it from their parents and their upbringing. So, back to my little Bob Proctor story. As I had heard this, my whole world opened up, and I was like, I have control over my feelings through my thoughts and my words. And I think from that point I started reading books, I really opened up to personal growth and development. I began going to the gym. I joined a gym at age 40. I walked in on my 40th birthday for the first time ever, because I was never athletic. And I walked in scared. I had no idea what to expect. And I bought a membership at age 40. And I utilized the gym as my outlet for a lot of pent-up emotion, anger, hurt. I let it all out, and I let it out on my body. It was the best healing ever. You know, I would go there, put in my music, and I would listen to music that just filled me with energy, and I would, you know, take it out on my body, like lifting weights in a healthy sort of way. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I think it's a good outlet for anger. You have to release suppressed emotions, otherwise they stay inside your body and make you sick. They'll come out one way or another, through cancer, anxiety, depression, all these mystery ailments that you'll find yourself in the hospital for, like, and the doctor has no idea what's wrong with you, you name it. So I did this for a few years, and then, you know, as I began healing, my healing journey, I started feeling peaceful. And I found myself in the gym having a hard time conjuring up the energy to do my workouts, because I no longer had this like anger inside to fuel me, which was interesting. And I was like, so I was pushing through the workouts, and it wasn't as fulfilling for me. I had to find a new method of, you know, fuel to be able to do my workouts. And because I was peaceful, I was feeling at peace. I was feeling like I loved myself. Guys, feeling like I loved myself. And when you have love, you're not angry. You're not, you know, I learned how to forgive. I learned how to forgive the people that hurt me. I learned how to forgive myself. And I'm going to go into all this in detail in future videos. And I'm super excited to share this, because I didn't use antidepressants. I didn't use, you know, weed. I didn't use gummies. I did find myself having alcohol as an outlet at times, but it never served me. It always escalated any type of emotion that I had. You know what I did do? It did point out if I still had more healing to do. Because I'm a passionate person, and you know, if I would have like wine or whatever and emotions would come out, I'm like, wow, I still have work to do. I still have things inside that need to be healed. But I'm not saying I'm against all that stuff. I'm just saying that what is truly empowering is to be able to fuel yourself with your own joy and heal yourself, and not have to rely on anything outside of you to be able to do that. If that's needed, you know, in the moment, then absolutely. I'm not against it. I'm not opposed to it. I think that one thing that helped me more than anything was eliminating people from my life that were toxic. And you know, this term is used so loosely, but they were not serving me in my healing journey. People that, you know, still used manipulation, that were narcissistic, or that were negative, or always had like some comments to say, or would call me up complaining about their problems all the time. And even though I would give them like words of wisdom, or, you know, solution, or listen, it was just consistent. And then I would get off the phone and I'd feel drained and I'd feel sad, or, you know, feel what they're feeling. And mind you, I am an empath. So for all you empaths out there, I totally get how you feel when you go out into public or you're around family or friends or spouse that just, you know, when they're not feeling good, you feel it. And for me, I have benefited so much from removing myself from people that just they're not in a good energy space for themselves. And, you know, another thing that has also helped has been gratitude. So, one thing that I did, this was during COVID, and I had lost my job during COVID, which was the best thing that had ever happened to me, because I actually got to take time to do some of this work and really self-reflect and understand, like, hey, you keep attracting negative relationship partners into your life. You know, why is this happening? You think you're healed. On the outside, you look healed, but you keep attracting the same people and they just keep bringing the same drama. So I put a stop to it. And mind you, I've been single for like 5 years, so it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. But this is something that really helped me. I read a book called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. She actually was the author of The Secret. And The Magic is really about different, I think it's 28 different daily practices for gratitude. And there was 2 gratitude practices that really stuck with me the most and really affected me in the most positive ways. And one of them was writing out 10 things that you're grateful for and why every single day. And I wrote like over 1,000 things. I filled my book to the brim. If you write out what you're grateful for and then you say why you're grateful for it, how it works is that you feel the feeling that you get in that moment for this thing that makes you feel good, right? It's a reminder. It's fueling you in the moment to remember that feeling. And then, right, thank you 3 times. Because saying thank you is just, it's a blessing, and it feels good. It feels good. It's a good practice. So I did this. You know, there were days I didn't want to do it. There were days I was like, I don't feel like doing this. It's like, do I really have to do this? It took me like 20 or 30 minutes, you know. I didn't want to always do it. But in the moment, I felt good about it, you know. And when I looked back, I was like feeling good about it. The things could be as simple as, you know, I am grateful for the grass that's being cut and the smell. I'm grateful for the sun that's shining on my face and why. You know, like, it makes me feel good. They can be the simplest things. And we overlook them so often and think about what we don't have versus the great things we do have in our life. So that was one practice that really helped me in healing, and, you know, and I don't want to say I was depressed, because I wasn't depressed at this point, but getting to a higher place of self-love, right? And then the other practice that really stuck with me, it was called the magic rock, right? This one, you can, if you are into crystals, you can use a crystal or any rock. I think I went outside at the time and I looked on the ground for like something that stood out to me, and I grabbed a rock. And at night, when you go to bed, you hold the rock in your hand and you think and you ask yourself, what was the best thing that happened to me today? And when you do this, it causes you to run through all the things in your mind of good things that happened and how they made you feel. And you'll be like, oh yeah, this happened and that made me feel really good, but this thing happened and that made me feel even better. And you come to the conclusion of that one thing, and you feel how it made you feel before you go to bed, before you go to sleep. That was one of the most powerful practices that I ever did, and I haven't been doing it lately, but this helped me so much. I mean, I was in a process of healing at this time from a narcissistic partner that I attracted that was very emotionally, mentally abusive. I feel like I was in a state of cognitive dissonance, and it's hard to like understand how someone says that they love you in one sentence and then is insulting you in another, or undermining you, or making you feel bad about yourself, or swearing at you and like calling you these awful names, like, and you're like, what did I do? And you tend to blame yourself, and it causes a lot of confusion, and it's very difficult to be in that type of relationship. And for anyone who is, I highly recommend to do some studying on narcissistic abuse, and don't respond, and as soon as you can, remove yourself from that environment. You have to go no contact. There's no other way. There's no other way. And that's something else I could talk about at a later time because it's really in depth. But so now I'm still stuck in traffic. This is so great. I am totally uploading this video today. I became a grandma like last week, and I said to myself, it's my second grandbaby. I'm like, I need to make a milestone for this grandbaby. And I was gonna start my YouTube channel that night, that day, and I didn't. I procrastinated. But it's only been a week, because when my first grandbaby was born, a milestone happened. I got fired from my job. I was like, wow, like I got fired in the morning for no reason. They handed me my check. I worked for a dealership, and I was like crying, went straight from there to the hospital, and there's my daughter holding her firstborn in her arms because I knew she was in labor, and I missed like the delivery. But there, like, I went from bawling and being fired, and you know, I'm the only income. I'm like a single mom, so here I am going from one extreme to another, like total like shock and like, oh my god, what am I gonna do, to like, wow, my first grandbaby. So my second grandbaby, I have been thinking about doing this YouTube journey for so long because I have so many stories to share that I feel like can help people finding self-love and moving themselves out of depression and taking control over their life and their feelings, and you know, what the circumstances are around them, because we have the power to change how we think and feel by the words we use, the self-talk that we use. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, and you will mess up and you will feel uncomfortable. But so think about this. When you are in a state of depression, I've been here, where I don't even want to get out of bed. I feel worthless. I feel like hopeless. I feel like nothing is gonna, you know, help me. I don't have family to rely on. It's just me. Like, so if I don't have my shit together, I'm screwed. But so when you're in this state, you don't even want to do self-care. You don't even want to eat. So when you don't want to eat, what happens? You're weak. You're tired. So it's like a vicious cycle. You don't want to get up when you're tired. You don't want to cook and chop vegetables and make a healthy food for yourself so your body can feel good. You don't want to do any of that. You just want to stay in bed. You know, maybe like hope that somebody's going to fix the problem for you, but who's going to come to your rescue? You know, we're going to come to our rescue. We have the power. We have been granted this. And you know what? Throughout my religious journey, I have learned one thing, that we have that godlike power within us to create what we desire and live the life of our dreams and feel amazing, feel powerful, feel how we want to feel. We just have to make that decision. That's what we want, and we can go for it. So I am so excited to share my journey, and I don't know if it's gonna be in the car all the time, but like it's so easy for me to talk in my car and drive. Like, I'm an Aries. I don't know, that's probably because I'm just a fireball. But guys, I am super excited to share with you all of what I've learned, going from, you know, not even wanting to be alive to being able to be happy and in full-fledged joy, even when the shit is hitting the fan, even when my life is not the way I want it, even when I can't pay the bills, even when, you know, I have some very severe things that have happened to my kids. Even in the toughest of times, I can find joy because I know how to do it within me. And I want to empower that into you guys and give you all that I have learned. And I am so excited to do this. I'm going to say it. I love you. You know why I love you? Because I learned how to be unconditionally loving to myself. And therefore, I can say I love you. I can say I love the people that hurt me. I can say I love everyone, because I know that when someone is in a place of negative behavior or hurting someone else, it's because they've been hurt and they haven't healed their wounds. It's because of how they've been treated and they haven't done self-reflection. It's not your fault, the hand you've been dealt in life. I've been dealt a hand that, you know, I can say, oh, it's not my fault and blame people, but I don't. It's not my fault, and I understand that, but it's my responsibility to take action, to understand that I am a grown adult and I can change. I can change. I can change my thoughts. I can change my feelings. I can change my beliefs about myself, and I'm going to change my actions by doing all of that, which in turn does change my circumstances or the results you get in life. So as I'm nearing home, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody who took the time to listen on this very first YouTube video in my car. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised where I'll be doing some videos. And I'll make it fun as I can, because what's fun about talking about depression? What's fun about talking about real life shit? We're gonna make it fun, guys, because you know what? Life is meant to be fun. It is meant to be fun in all moments. You know, whether you're going to work at a job that you're not passionate about, you know, you're going to the grocery store. Ew. Like, I don't like doing these things either. You know what I do? I put on my headphones. I listen to music. You'll find me dancing in the grocery store. You'll find me flying through the store on my cart like a child if there's a lane that's open. I'm going to live my life with as much joy as I can in every single moment and all the ways that I can, until the day that I am no longer here and not able to do it. And I want to share this experience and this joy with you all, because everybody should feel this good. Everybody should feel this good. All right? I love you guys. Take care. And I can't wait to share my next video with you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Love you.